Logan found out later that night. I told him in the most Skylar way possible by handing him a printed page from my manuscript with a sticky note that said, "Coming to bookstores next fall. Thought you should read the ending first." He looked at the paper, then looked at me. "You're changing lives already," he whispered. "Mine included." We didn't kiss. Not yet. But we stood close. The kind of close where your breath and there's fine rhythm. Where silence becomes a language. Where the snow falling outside becomes a backdrop to something bigger than love. Something like truth. The next day, I signed the contract with my silver pen. Amanda and Kevin were there, of course. Professor Roman too. Mom joined via FaceTime, tears in her eyes. Even Dad sent a text that said, "Proud of you. Still figuring things out. But proud, Dad." It wasn't a perfect message, but it was enough. Skylar Jameson was officially an author. And for the first time, I wasn't afraid of being seen. That night, as I sat on my bed, pen in hand, I wrote a new chapter of reflections, one that wasn't about hiding or pretending or waiting for permission. It was about showing up, about claiming space, about finally stepping into the mirror and recognizing the girl who looked back. The semester wrapped like a soft exhale after a long-held breath. Finals were a blur of sleepless nights, too many iced lattes, and Amanda and me sharing headphones at 3 a.m. while writing side by side in our dorm lounge. Kevin made flashcards and terrible memes to help us study. Logan brought snacks and quiet understanding. But what made this ending different from all the others before? I was finally living as me. No more splitting myself in half. No more mirror apologies. I wore skirts openly now, did my makeup in the dorm bathroom without shame, and walked across campus like I had always belonged, even on the days I still doubted that. I had become someone who didn't just survive but smiled back at her reflection and said, "You're allowed to take up space." And then, just as life started feeling settled, everything shifted again. It started with an email. Subject: Television interest, reflections. I read the sender twice, then a third time. It was from a development executive at a streaming platform, one of the big ones. Apparently, someone had passed them an early manuscript. Apparently, they saw potential. Apparently, they wanted to talk. My legs shook as I read the message out loud to Amanda and Kevin. "They want to option my life," I said, stunned. "No," Amanda corrected. "They want the world to see your life." The video call was scheduled for the following Tuesday. Logan sat on my bed while I paced the room, rereading notes I'd prepared. Amanda helped me practice answers to possible questions. Kevin brought sparkling water and lit my favorite candle. Even Professor Roman sent a good luck voice memo with the words, "Your voice matters, Skylar. Let it be heard." When the call connected, the exec, Julia, smiled warmly from her screen. "Skylar," she said, "I read your manuscript." I didn't expect to cry on page 5, laugh out loud on page 7, and then stay up all night reading the rest. "You're not just a great writer, you're the kind of voice that sticks." I blinked. "Thank you." She leaned forward. "I don't want to change it. I want to help amplify it." And just like that, the seed of a series was planted. They wanted to develop Reflections into a limited streaming series. They wanted me as the writer, as the voice, as the truth behind the fiction. After I hung up, I sat on the floor of my dorm room and sobbed. Not from fear this time. Not even from joy. From release. I had spent so long hiding, shrinking, second-guessing, surviving. And now people I had never met saw something real in my story. The girl in the mirror wasn't just me anymore. She was everyone who had ever looked at themselves and wondered where they fit. She was every trans kid who whispered their name in the dark before saying it out loud. She was Skylar. And Skylar mattered. We celebrated with pie at May's. Ruby lit a birthday candle in a cherry slice and told the whole diner I was going to be famous. I wasn't sure about fame, but I knew this. I was going to be visible. And I wasn't afraid. Not anymore. That night, I sat by the window and wrote the first scene of the Reflections pilot script. I didn't care how late it was. I didn't care how far-fetched it felt. It was mine. I wrote Skylar's first line. Some girls are born into mirrors that reflect them. I had to smash mine open just to find her. The campus buzz had shifted. It wasn't just the usual end-of-semester stress or internship gossip. Somehow, through whispers, group chats, and an unexpected Instagram post from one of Ruby's followers, the news had spread. Skylar was writing a TV series about her life. The support was overwhelming. Mostly. But some of it burned. It started when a conservative student blog posted an article titled, "Woke Agenda or Narcissism? One Student's Transition from Private to Public." It included a photo of me from orientation before Skylar had even existed outside my own mirror, and a cropped screenshot of my name on the campus bulletin board under the LGBTQ+ newsletter. It was invasive, petty, cruel, but it worked. The comment section exploded. Attention-seeking snowflake. I bet she still uses the men's locker room. Another mentally ill girl trying to sell trauma for fame. I stared at my screen, stunned into stillness. Amanda pulled it away before I could spiral too deep. You do not owe anyone your silence to make them comfortable. But my chest felt tight, and all I could think was, what if they're right? The fallout came faster than expected. Someone stuck a printed copy of the article on my dorm door. A pair of girls in the campus cafe pointed at me and laughed when they thought I wasn't looking. Even one of my professors, Mr. Delaney, raised an eyebrow when I turned in a screenplay assignment and said, "Still mining that gender stuff, huh?" And for the first time in a long time, I found myself pulling back. No makeup. No skirts. No jewelry. I wore baggy hoodies and walked with my head down. I skipped my Wednesday workshop. I canceled dinner with Logan. I didn't return Kevin's texts. For 4 days, I vanished again from the world I had fought so hard to join. On the 5th day, Amanda barged in without knocking. She sat on my bed, arms crossed, waiting. "I brought you your favorite," she said, lifting a bag of hot fries and bubble tea like offerings to a sad little deity. I didn't respond. "I also brought this." She held up a photo. It was from the Pride event last semester. I stood between Kevin and Ruby, glitter on my cheeks, laughing so hard my eyes were squeezed shut. "You're not allowed to disappear," she said. "Not again. Not after how far you've come." I looked away. "They hate me," I whispered. "They think I'm a joke." She leaned in. "They don't get to be louder than the truth. And the truth is, you're magic. You've survived things they can't even comprehend. You wrote a story out of your scars. They can post their hate. You post hope." My lip trembled. I wanted to believe her, but doubt clung like fog. Later that night, I stared at my open laptop. The cursor blinked on a blank page of my pilot script, and then, almost without thinking, I typed, "And girls' bathroom, high school, night." Skylar leans on the sink, shaking. She wipes away lipstick with trembling hands. A voice off screen. "Voice OS. You know you can't hide forever, right?" Skylar turns. It's her reflection. "Skylar, watch me." Reflection. "You already tried. It didn't work." That scene unlocked the dam. I wrote for hours. Unfiltered. Unapologetic. Honest. When I finished, I sent the file to Julia, the exec who believed in me from the start. She replied 10 minutes later. "This is it. This is the heart of the series. Raw, fierce, and brave." The next morning, I put on the floral dress Amanda had bought me last month. Did my eyeliner sharp and defiant. Let my hair fall loose around my shoulders. I walked across campus with my chin up, even as whispers followed me. They could stare. They could hate. But I had nothing to hide. I wasn't writing my story for them. I was writing it for every kid still afraid to speak their name aloud. I was writing it for me. A week after I sent the revised script to Julia, her next email hit me like a thunderclap. Subject: Zoom meeting. Series greenlight. I read it twice before I even processed the word greenlight. They wanted to film my story. Not in some vague, maybe someday way. They wanted 6 full episodes. Julia was flying out to Austin with a small team. The meeting was set for Friday. She asked if I'd like to bring someone, a mentor, friend, or creative partner. Without hesitation, I replied, "Can I bring 2?" She said yes. Amanda nearly tackled me when I told her. "Are you freaking serious?" she screamed, practically bouncing off my dorm walls. "I've already got outfit ideas for the premiere. And if they don't cast you as yourself, I'm boycotting." I laughed so hard, I almost forgot how scared I was. Because beneath the joy, the nerves twisted like a storm cloud behind my ribs. I was about to walk into a room with real producers. People who'd seen 1,000 stories just like mine. What if I wasn't special enough? What if I couldn't hold my own? And then there was Kevin. When I asked him to come with me to the meeting, he paused, not because he didn't want to, but because I could see the weight of it land on him. This means they believe in your voice," he said finally. "And if they're going to hear your story, then I want to be in the room, quietly cheering you on." He squeezed my hand. Not to take credit, just to witness it. Friday came like a freight train. The conference room at the boutique hotel downtown was nothing like I imagined, smaller, intimate, with old movie posters framed on the walls and a coffee station that smelled like hope. Julia greeted me with her usual hug and a fierce smile. "You look exactly like the woman I imagined when I read your script." Terrified, I offered. Triumphant, she corrected. The other producers were warm and curious. One, a younger guy named Theo, admitted he cried reading episode 3. "But episode 7, he added, tapping his copy. "That one gutted me. That monologue about the school bathroom stall." I blinked. "You liked it?" "It reminded me of my sister," he said. "She went through something similar in Minnesota." "It matters, Skylar. You matter." The pitch went better than I could have ever planned. I walked them through the character arcs, showed them the mood board Amanda helped me make, let them hear snippets of the original score Kevin had started composing on his keyboard at night. When I finished, the room went quiet. Then Julia stood. "I think I speak for everyone," she said, "when I say this isn't just a show. It's a movement." We left the hotel 2 hours later with a formal offer in hand. A pilot was going into production that summer. That night, we celebrated at a tiny rooftop bar near the river. Kevin leaned against the railing beside me, watching the city sparkle beneath the stars. "I always knew you'd do something huge," he said. "Even when you were hiding in oversized hoodies and scared of your own reflection. I saw her, this version of you, even then." I looked at him, warmth rising in my chest. "You were the first person who really did." "No," he said, turning to face me. "You were." The mirror just took time to catch up. When I got home, I stood alone in front of the bathroom mirror. Same girl. Same eyes. But this time, I didn't wonder who was staring back. I knew. Spring semester blurred into summer, like a dream unraveling in slow motion, bittersweet, rich, and unbelievably fast. I moved out of the dorms the same week my name showed up in Variety. Newcomer Skylar James to co-write and co-produce series based on her life. They got my pronouns right, my name right. And for the first time in my life, it felt like the world was beginning to see the whole me, no edits, no disclaimers. Amanda cried when I handed her the press release. "You're literally famous now," she sniffled through laughter. "I can't even say I knew you, Anne, because I still know you now." She was right. Nothing had changed, and yet everything had. The production team had given me a hybrid role, part screenwriter, part authenticity consultant, and part creative advisor for casting. That meant I had a say in how Skylar, fictional Skylar, would come alive on screen. The casting process was surreal. We auditioned over a dozen incredible trans actresses, each bringing something raw and beautiful to the role. But there was one girl, Lee Monroe, who read the audition sides and made Amanda gasp. "She is you, Amanda whispered. Lee's performance wasn't a copy of me, it was something more vulnerable. She didn't play Skylar like someone trying to impress an audience. She played her like someone who'd lived behind a locked door too long and finally found the courage to knock from the inside. When the scene ended, Julia turned to me. Well? I nodded. That's her. That's me. Filming began in late June, under a blistering Texas sun and the constant hum of summer cicadas. The first day on set, I found myself shaking as I watched Lee put on the same blue jacket I'd worn the day I first came out in public. Kevin was beside me again, silent and reverent. This is so weird, I murmured. I'm watching a memory become a movie. You're watching truth turn into legacy, he said softly. That's not weird, that's magic. But not everything was smooth. There were arguments in the writer's room, especially about the ending. Some executives wanted a more digestible finale, something cleaner, neater, hopeful but safe. Maybe she doesn't come out so publicly, one suggested. Or maybe her father stays ambiguous, it gives the audience space to imagine. I slammed my pen on the table. No. Everyone stared. She doesn't need to be safe. She needs to be real. And my father didn't stay ambiguous. He stayed absent. That's not something I'm willing to soften just to make Middle America sleep easier. Julia gave me a tiny nod across the table. A quiet yes. The scene stayed. The final episode filmed in late August on a hilltop overlooking Austin. Skylar, Lee, walked forward alone into a sea of graduation caps, clutching a speech in her hand. It was nearly word for word what I had said 2 years ago in real life. And this time, I watched it unfold not as a survivor, but as a storyteller, as a creator, as a woman with agency. When Lee stepped up to the mic and said, "My name is Skylar James, and I am not a phase or a punchline or a broken version of who I was supposed to be," I wept. So did the boom operator. After the final cut, the cast and crew surrounded me. Theo, our producer, handed me a wrapped box. Inside was a mirror, delicately carved, vintage, with tiny roses etched into the corners. The inscription read, "To the girl in the mirror, you were always enough." That night, I went home alone and unwrapped a fresh journal.